fire. Army releases statement, says a truck fired upon by terrorists, grenades likely used. Congress makes Atik fan Imran Pratapgarhi a star campaigner silent on the backlash. Complete breakup of opposition unity. TMC hits out at NCP chief over meeting Gautam Adani. Massive setback for Rahul Gandhi as Surat court junks his plea contesting conviction. All 67 accused, including former BJP Minister Maya Kodnani, acquitted in Naroda 2002 riots case. Hello, welcome. You're getting the breaking news right now. Today around 3 o'clock this evening, when an army truck caught fire, there wasn't clarity as to who exactly was behind it and what was the reason for the truck catching fire. Indian Army now releasing that statement, and I'm getting you more details. At least 5 soldiers were killed and 1 injured after Indian Army vehicle was fired upon by unidentified terrorists. This was around 3 o'clock in the evening in Poonch district. A confirmation now coming in from a defense spokesperson. In fact, what we are also picking up, that there was an initial confusion given the fact that it was essentially suggested that a lightning strike may have caused the truck to catch fire. But it now turns out that terrorists may have opened fire. Let me also quickly go across to my colleague Gursimran, getting us the latest details. Gursimran, first get us the full details. What is it that you're picking up from the army in terms of the truck catching fire, and now the confirmation coming in that terrorists may have opened fire? What I'm also picking up from my sources is that the road opening party had essentially cleared the route. What is it that you are picking up?
See, Shavan, it's exactly that the ROP has cleared the road, and it was at around 3 in the afternoon when the normal movement of the vehicle was taking place. There were 6 jawans of the Rashtra Rifles that has been deployed in that very area of Bhataduriya, where the encounter has taken place in 2021, in which 9 of our brave hearts lost their life and 1 terrorist was killed in a almost 3-month-long operation. And now coming to what happened today, it was at around 3 when the army vehicle was going from the Bhimbar Gali to the Jadawali Gali side area, and then near the Tota Gali area, all of a sudden the terrorists barged. They opened fire at the jawans of the Indian Army, followed by they lobbed the grenade on the vehicle of the Indian Army. What has happened that due to the grenades being lobbed at the vehicle of the Indian Army, and there was a continuous lightning that was taking place, the locals and the army units have taken it that it is highly possible that a lightning strike has taken place on the vehicle, but it was the grenades that were lobbed on the vehicle of the Indian Army, in which 5 jawans of the Indian Army from the Rashtra Rifles unit, they have attained martyrdom, and 1 is critical, being treated at the hospital in the Rajouri. And soon after the incident, the vehicle was also taken inside the brigade, the BG brigade of the Indian Army, and also the mortal remains of the jawans. And when the analysis was done by the team of experts, it was found that there were bullets inside the bodies of the jawans and also on the vehicle of the Indian Army, thus confirming that it was a terror attack. And soon after, the confirmation came to the Jammu and Kashmir police and the central agencies. 1 senior IPS officer from the J&K police and 1 from the central agency who is looking after the intelligence wing, the senior IPS officer, has been rushed to the attack site in the Poonch. And this is the same area, as I earlier also mentioned, where the Indian Army has lost 4 jawans in 2021, after which the then CDS General Bipin Rawat also visited the spot along with the army chief. So at that very time, the Indian Army suffered major casualties. 9 was the number, and today 5 casualties is the number that the Indian Army has suffered in a terror attack. Now an intensified operation has been launched. The terror group People's Anti-Fascist Front, which is an offshoot of Jaish-e-Mohammed in Jammu and Kashmir, has claimed the responsibility of this attack. They said that this is what they have done ahead of the G20. So clearly a threat that was prevailing on the G20 meet is something that the security agencies were seriously looking into. We saw a series of meetings taking place in the national capital in Kashmir Valley as well as in Jammu ahead of the G20 meet, but this is something of a really serious concern that the security agencies are looking into. You see the pattern, what it has actually happened. On 29th of March, an ID attack is taking place in the Kathua district, followed by a drone dropping of hand grenades and pistols.
Gursimran, sorry to interrupt you, but before we get into any analysis at this point in time, we'll go to the guests in a short while from now. We'll introduce them in a short while from now. We'll stay with the big breaking news now coming in. Gursimran, a few more details that I'm picking up as we broadcast, as we continue broadcasting. Let's stay with that big breaking news coming in. The official version in terms of the movement of the vehicle, as I understand, the movement was essentially taking place between Bimbar Gali and Poonch in Rajouri sector. The clarity essentially did not come in earlier in the day in terms of whether at all this was a terror attack, because one, there was low visibility at that point in time. There was no clarity as to how exactly did the truck actually catch fire. Now it turns out from the analysis that was essentially done at a later stage that they have found that bullets were fired. And that's essentially led to the army basically coming to a conclusion that terrorists had opened fire. Just for the benefit for our viewers to understand the area where the incident has taken place, what is it that you are picking up? I understand that Rashtriya Rifles soldiers were present in that particular truck that was ferrying them from Bimbar Gali to Poonch. What more are you picking up in terms of the area where the incident had taken place, and how exactly do we know where exactly where the terrorists were essentially positioned when they opened fire?
See, Shavan, this is one of the dense forested area when it comes to the stretch from the Bimbar Gali to the Jadawali Gali. This entire stretch is around 14-kilometer stretch that connects the Rajouri district to the Surankot of the Poonch district. Now, where the incident has taken place, that place is around 2 kilometers from the Bimbar Gali checkpost. That is the opening point of the Poonch district. And on the both side, that road is hardly a 20 to 25 feet wide road. On the both side, it is having a dense forested area, and it was the same area where the terrorists managed to hide when the last encounter took place in 2021. So it is a kind of a natural hideout for the terrorists when it comes to the geography of the area. On the left side there is a deep forest where you will hardly find any movement of the civilians, because there are no houses on the left side, and on the right side there is also a densely forested area. So on the both sides the terrorists were having an edge, and also the rains that are going on in that very area that have also added to the help of these terrorists, that they managed to escape from that very place at the given point of time soon after the attack took place. And when this vehicle was traveling in, see, this is not the route that is much followed. This is a route where you will hardly find any vehicle moving even during the daytime. Hardly the vehicles moving from Jammu to the Poonch follow this route. So this is what has actually happened, that there was no eyewitness to what has happened, and that's why it took this much of time for the Indian Army to come to the conclusion that what has happened. And also the injured Jawan, he has been now shifted to the Rajouri hospital, wherein he has been treated. But this is something now the entire cordon has been put from the Jadawali Gali via Mender to the Bimbar Gali, and on the upper side Dera Ki Gali, because this area is a very prominent area when it comes to the Surankot area, which has once been the hub of the terrorism. The operation Hill Kaka was launched here to wipe out the terrorism. So this area has been the hub of terrorism in the past. So taking that into the consideration, now the entire area has been put under the cordon. But when it comes to the entering the dense forested area, this will only be done with the first light taking place, because the security agencies and the Indian Army that has been deployed there, they are taking each and every step with a due caution, because we have seen what has happened in 2021. Yes, Shavan.
Well, in fact, Gursimran, I'll request you to stay on with us as you get us more breaking news, and also perhaps in terms of the investigation that's being carried out, because the Indian Army essentially says that they are still on the lookout of the perpetrators in terms of who exactly are the, whether at all they belong to any particular tanzim. We do not know at this point in time. I'll let you go for a moment, and till the time you get us more update as to what's really happening in terms of the operation that's being carried out. On the broadcast, joining us is General A.K. Siwaj, General G.D. Bakshi, General Sanjay Meston, and General K.K. Sidha. Opening up is General G.D. Bakshi and General A.K. Siwaj. General G.D. Bakshi, I would like to come to you first to understand the area. For all our viewers who are tuning in right now, who perhaps do not have an idea of the challenging situation, especially when we are ferrying our soldiers in that very area, could you help us understand the area where the incident has actually taken place?
Certainly, the fact of the matter is I was General Officer Commanding Romeo Force. I have operated in this exact area, and the simple fact is that till about 2003, 2004, 2005, this was a hotbed of terrorist activity. One of the hottest, Rajouri, Poonch districts were one of the hottest in terms of terrorist activity levels. Right then, we had launched Operation Sarp Vinash when General Hardy Leader was the GOC Romeo Force, a very major operation to flush out the terrorists from Hill Kaka, where they almost formed a base camp. And in immediate wake of Sarp Vinash, I had taken over when all the terrorists who had been scattered from that Hill Kaka area had gone and tried to merge with the villagers. So we had launched a concerted drive to sort of finish them off. And by 2005, the area was well under control. And thereafter, it had become absolutely quiet in that area, and peace and normalcy had returned. So that is why one finds a kind of a, what shall I say, a complacency seems to have set in this area, because for a long time it has been dormant. But we have had, in between infrequent episodes of infiltration and attacks like this. In the last, we lost 9 men. And today, unfortunately, we've lost 5 boys. And my heart goes out to those Rashtriya Rifle troopers and their families. But this cannot be allowed to carry on. I'm sure the Romeo Force will carry out a thorough combing operation and try and nab the perpetrators. But rather than just these reflexive firefighting methods in our own territory, are that kind of a response to a very defensive response. I think there is now need to step on the pedal, because Pakistan is trying to revive terrorism in the dormant areas of J&K, to start terrorism in Punjab, and this cannot be taken lying down. Pakistan itself is in serious trouble, and I think we should get back to that proactive stance which had worked so well and which had totally quietened up this area. Whether the valley or whether south of the Pir Panjal has been quiet since 2005. We need to now get proactive and raise costs for Pakistan across the line of control. And I think our boys need to be on a more heightened alert. The very fact that it took so much time to even come to the conclusion that this was a terrorist attack shows a level of complacency that I'm sure they will overcome now that they are aware that infiltration is taking place. An incident has happened here some years back. We cannot allow it to happen too often. Romeo Force is a very professional force, and I'm sure they will get these perpetrators. And more than getting these perpetrators, we need to raise costs across the line of control. This particular incident, they seem to have opened fire on this vehicle and thrown in the grenades. Right? Yes, please. Yeah, they seem to have thrown grenades on this vehicle,
and then I'll bring in General Siwaj.
So this seems to have been an opportunity ambush that was laid on this. I'm not sure whether this vehicle was part of a convoy. It doesn't look like it. because then it wouldn't have taken so much time to react and to come to the conclusion that it was a terrorist attack. There seems to be a lone vehicle trying to pick up the ROP parties or something like that, but they seem to have ambushed it from the dense jungles around, opened fire and have lobbed grenades, which seems to have caused the fire, and the boys were not able to come out. Not those 5 boys that have been killed. They seem to have been taken by surprise. So sudden ambush, and then they have melted away into the forest. Very rightly, the Romeo Force are doing the cordon and search operations in a deliberate manner. This is very dense jungle, and the simple fact is, with the rains, even if you use a tracker dog, the trail would have gone. So they will carry out a proper cordon and search operation. This is a very dense jungle. There is very dense undergrowth and very thorny bushes, which make it quite difficult to comb this area. But I am sure this needs to be combed. We need to try and get this group. I'm sure they would have deployed their UAVs by now, their quadcopters, and we have these copters plenty now, which we didn't have in our time. They should be able to locate these people, search them out, and bring them to justice. And more than that, I would reckon that we need
General
to
G.D.
get
Bakshi.
back to a proactive policy and not confine ourselves to consequence management.
Well, in fact, I'll request General G.D. Bakshi to stay on with us as we try and put out more authentic information as and when we get from the Indian Army. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to speculate at this point in time. There is very sketchy information that has essentially covered. There is only one statement that has been issued by the Indian Army. And if you go by that, they have now confirmed that this was a terrorist attack. Questions essentially being raised about why the delay. As I understand from my sources, General Siwach, that the condition wasn't really very conducive. It was only after a proper assessment that was done when they found that there were bullet marks and the fact that bullets were fired and a grenade was essentially lobbed. Only then they have basically released a statement. So the Indian Army, rightfully so, has been extremely cautious on this entire matter. So I'm not going to perhaps second guess, as the investigation is still underway. And in the course of this broadcast, viewers, we'll try and break it down for you to understand why this very area where the incident has actually taken place, it is very, very challenging, because in the past too, we have seen combing operations when it comes to this very area, especially in Rajouri sector, becomes far, far more challenging. And herein where I would like to bring in General Siwach. General Siwach, I remember when a combing operation was actually carried out about a few years ago, with regards to terrorists being on the run, it took about several days for the Indian Army as well as the other forces involved, the police for that matter, all put together. The combing operation is not very easy. For us, it's very easy to perhaps say, why did it take so much time for the Indian Army? But it's important for our audience to understand how it is a very, very challenging sector.
Absolutely. 3 issues are very clear here. No, there is no doubt this area is very close to line of control, and the whole area is not only forested, it is a hilly area. And there is a sport which is available as for a local sport. Overground worker and sleeper cell are working here. No doubt last operation also took a lot of time. Now what is happening is the focus over a period of time has shifted from here to Kashmir Valley. And we were focusing there. The terrorism is almost wiped off in Kashmir Valley. There are hardly 40 terrorists left. Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen leadership has been wiped off. Now they have opened another front. The Rajouri Poonch area, like what Janna Bakshi was trying to bring out, was almost turning out to be normal. But overnight, they have realized it, that the SCO meeting and G20 presidency with India, they want to show some sort of Indianization of terrorism taking place in Kashmir and Jammu and Kashmir as total. So they have activated this area. Now also remember that what is happening is that as far as the north of Pir Panjal, the passes are still closed because there is a snow there. But as far as south of Pir Panjal, you find that it is easy to infiltrate from Pakistan, carry out action, get overground workers, get a support from there, and then try to exfiltrate. Now this has become a norm. Now we have to go all out to make sure this area again become a peaceful, because this is the tactics which Punjab will apply, the K2 formula, Kashmir as well as Khalistan. Now, this is more closer to Punjab, so you'll find it, all this activity will be increased. We have to change our tactics, we have to go proactive. Our operation, which is search and cordon operation, must go and complete, you can say, as far as the operation concerned, in the jungles. Here, the jungles are vast. It's very difficult to comb that area, but there is a requirement to change. Village Defense Council was again brought in this area for this reason, because we realized that the terrorist now frequency has increased. The number of terrorists working or operating here has also increased. Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaish-e-Mohammed has now start operating their bases opposite to this area in POK. You'll find almost 300 terrorists are sitting in launch pad and also in training area to ready to infiltrate in Poonch, Rajouri and Mender area. Now this area has become very important. I suppose the Indian Army will go all out and comb this area and kill all the terrorists which were involved. Now, as far as the reason as to why there is a delay in reporting, the delay in reporting because the weather was inclement, there was raining and there was also lightning. So possibly the army thought this may be a case of a lightning, and due to which the vehicle has caught fire. But now things are very clear. There are marks of bullet marks also there, and the hand grenade possibly has been thrown. And this group is an offshoot of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now, having known that, we must go for a proactive operation, comb that area and make sure those terrorists which were involved, they do not exfiltrate back to POK. They must be eliminated, and we must make use of our complete force available and also pay back Pakistan if required in the same coin which we have earlier done. Devan.
Colonel Sewach, I'll request you and General G.D. Bakshi to stay on as we continue with our rolling coverage with all the latest information now coming in. Major General K.K. Sinha as well as Major General Sanjay Meston, I'll request both of you to stay on. Let's also bring in my colleague Gursimran, who's been reporting. He's en route to Poonch. In fact, he's spoken to some of his sources, getting us the latest information. As we understand, gentlemen, it turns out that a recce was essentially done of that very area. And sources indicating to Gursimran that this was a clear-cut plan that they had in terms of carrying out an ambush, and that would have basically kept the army in the dark. In fact, Gursimran, why don't you take our viewers through the latest details you're picking up? As I understand, first, let's begin with what's the status in terms of the combing operation that's being carried out, and what more are your sources basically indicating in terms of how exactly was the planning done by the terrorists who opened fire on our Jawans?
What I'm getting to know from the sources in the intelligence agencies, few officers are already on the ground, and what they are telling that it was an ambush by the terrorists, and what they have done, see, it was not a spontaneous attack that they have carried out. It was a well-planned attack that they have done, and the recce has been done. It is not an attack that has been planned in a single days, but possibly over days or months even they have done the recce, because they were well aware that it is the same time where the convoy of the Indian Army moves from this area. So the exact plan, what it seems as of now, was to target the convoy of the Indian Army that was to move at that very given time at around 3 from this very area. But all of a sudden what has happened that Thursday being Thursday, it was declared as a dry day, and there was no movement of the Indian Army vehicles. Otherwise this attack would have been way larger than it has actually been. The number of the casualties would have been entirely different. So now coming to the two things, what we are getting to know, that what the terrorists have done, that they had the plans to carry out the attack on the convoy, but when they saw this vehicle coming, the standalone vehicle coming, they attacked this vehicle, they fired at the vehicle. The Indian Army Jawan, one of the Army Jawan that was inside, probably on the front seat, the co-driver side, he retaliated on the terrorists, because there are some the bullets that have been found inside. That clearly shows that there was not a there was an retaliation, and a retaliation in a befitting way to the terrorist. Whether the bullet had hit the the terrorists because all of a sudden they were moving. The area has been peaceful for quite a while. So possibly what we assume that the retaliation came possibly after a few seconds. And that time the terrorists used to pound first fire at the Jawans of the Indian Army and then lob grenades at the vehicle of the Indian Army, due to which it caught fire. So this is what we are getting to know from the sources. We are being told that when this progress in investigation is taking place, there are many more things that are coming to fore. See, the convoy being attacked is something of a really serious concern, Shavan, because we have seen the last time when the convoy of the security forces was attacked, what has happened. And so possibly these terrorists were planning an attack of that magnitude, but due to being a dry day, there was no movement of the convoy of the Indian Army, and possibly they had a miss due to that reason. But yes, we lost the 5 of our brave hearts, but yes, there was a retaliation, and a befitting retaliation by the Jawan of the Indian Army who was sitting on the co-driver side when the vehicle was moving, and all of a sudden it was attacked by the terrorists, those who came out from the right side of the forest and then went to the left side of the forest, because it is a densely forested area. Yes, Shavan.
Well, in fact, Gursimran, I'll request you to stay on with us as you get more updates as to what's really happening in terms of the investigation that's being carried out. Full focus right now would be to identify the perpetrators. Let me quickly go across to Major General K.K. Sidha and Major General Sanjay Beston. First to you, Major General K.K. Sidha. This comes on a day when Pakistan's foreign minister would be attending the SCO foreign ministers meeting that's slated sometime later this year. On the one hand, a cash-strapped nation like Pakistan is begging, and that too they're continuing with their begging spree from UAE and various other countries, and so much so, it is indicated that the reason why Pakistan's foreign minister wants to come to India is because perhaps wants to make the move that trade relations should actually take place with Pakistan, because their condition is only worsening with every passing day. But it seems, General K.K. Sidha, that they haven't really learnt a lesson. They still believe that they can carry on with their terror factory on the one hand, and on the other, really hoping that a country like India is actually going to extend the helping hand.
Good evening and Jai Hind, Sharan. First, my condolence to all those 5 brave hearts who has lost their life and one who is now fighting it out in the hospital. You have asked me a very relevant question, which has got a, major strategic, implication. The thing what you are bringing it out that, when the SCO meeting and their foreign minister is going to come over here and trying to, the leverage out and, what is happening in Pakistan, at the same time they are doing this type of activity. See, this is, we can go in detail how it's happened and why there, how is the terrain. We all know these are the areas which is very, difficult to operate. But the matter of the fact is, after I will not go back to and I will answer your question about the SCO and what is happening in a bigger picture and slightly later. First thing we have to understand, because after the Hill Kaka, that operations we carried out, Sarvinath, which General Bakshi brought it out, it again came up in 2021. And after that, it is not. If you know this, Krishna Ghati, and then you take it to the Surankot area, and from where it is passing through, and again it is happening now, you have to give it back to Pakistan. Now, when I say back to Pakistan, we can take action in our area, because these are the areas, the launch pads, and major things happening in Jammu and Kashmir, especially because it is the linkages, what is going to happen in G20 and SCO, because we want to have the venue also of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, coming back to your question of this, and one more thing, which I will try to add it. Few days back, if you go back to your news, and it is coming, that, the chief of Pakistan Army has visited into the powered area. Then you have to link it at today, what is happening, that in the Supreme Court in Pakistan, they, the Defense Ministry of Pakistan has been saying that the RAW is getting to it, and then, the state of Pakistan will, have the, constitutional crisis because of that, the raw involvement. When I take it back to your question now, what is SCO? He's coming. Few days back, Sawaz Sharif was making a statement. The time has come that we should get, friendly with India and try to have the same ties where we were getting, free cheap food, and then the crisis we can, come out from that. See, the point is like that. The SCO meeting, and of course we have got a presidency, and the G20 was there. This is the time to actually get back to whatever the normalcy we wanted. We are holding from last about 2.5 years now. But in the February, when we have gone for the ceasefire on the LOC of total areas of 740 kilometers, we have got the complete ceasefire and we are maintaining and holding it, which we are very, very proud of. Sometimes we say. But these type of activities will take you back, because the Pakistan is not going to give, let it go like that. Pakistan is becoming much more bolder. If you take me, Pakistan is trying to revive it back again. They may be playing in the garb of that. The internal situations are bad. But Pakistan is looking back to do the same thing, because Pakistan was yielding better results, during that time. And now, even when we say the help which they are going to expecting from the West, especially United States of America, they are looking forward for that. It may not have a linkage with the STO and G20, what is going to happen here. Now, when they are going to come, during this time, which is now going to unfold in next 2-3 months, and then it is go on to the peak when we'll have the meeting of G20, when the 20 or the powerful countries people are going to come, where one of the venue which has not been declared is Jammu and Kashmir. So it is a desperate action. You take it, Shravan. It is a desperate actions by Pakistan to do something which India was trying to do it, because that time Xi Jinping is likely to come. You understand? And he has got, now they are playing the game that the India wanted to play a game that, the venue which we have selected very, very carefully. If you take your mind back, what happened in Arunachal Pradesh a few days back when the SCO meeting was there, on that particular day, the Pakistan unleashed 15 names, renaming in that area. And why? Because people didn't come to attend that in the SCO meeting which has happened in Arunachal Pradesh. Now you have to link it up very detailed in a very detailed analysis. This has to be understood in that perspective. Now, why? The timing is very important. We will take the remedial measures because I think, the way the things have happened, single vehicle moving, all 6 people either have been, eliminated, 5 have been eliminated, 1 is very out, and the whole vehicle, single vehicle, is a single vehicle movement, which is not acceptable in any case until unless 2 vehicles move. No one is giving support to each other. So those points I am not touching upon. But now come back to your point again. Okay, why you will going to witness in 3-4 months, this is my gut feeling, is going to be much, much more. The revivability of this thing, and if they try to dislodge what we have achieved in Jammu and Kashmir, we have to be doubly care, and we have to give the retribution to that side. In this side, we will take care of. And I feel that we have to be absolutely, and it should not go without wasting time. Retribution has to be there because we all know in these areas there are a number of launch pad and launch areas. Your reporter was giving a very good analysis. From right side of this, they have crossed over to the left side. Jalbakshi will vouch for this. The terrain conditions and which area they when they operate, this is the pattern. They will get away from there. You will keep wasting your time into the area of Surankot in Krishna Ghati area, and we will not achieve, because in 2021 we were not able to achieve. There are these terrains we should not bang on. We should bang with Pakistan across the LOC. This is the right time to do it. And with my whatever I have got command, I will thumb the table. And this is the right time to do it. Not when there is a SCO meeting and when there is G20. They will hijack what we have achieved up till now. Turan.
Well, thank you very much, Major General K.K. Sinha, for putting this into perspective. Let's also look at the other aspect in terms of the fact that what the forces have achieved over the last few years put together, especially if we talk about what's really happening in Jammu and Kashmir, in Srinagar, and of course, if you look at the sectors above, what's very clear, Major General Sanjay Weston, that if you really look at the infiltration numbers, that has gone considerably down. It has become a robust grid, and one of the reasons why we have not seen that kind of infiltration really taking place, what used to be the case a few years ago. The fact that Rajouri sector has once again been targeted, and of course very close to Punjab, what does it really indicate? Do you really see a change in tactic from the Pakistani side, or would you say that it's yet another revival that you're really looking at in terms of the support that they may be getting from the overground workers in that very sector?
I think we need to look at the larger picture. India hosting G20, the SCO, obviously is a very, very important milestone for our country. And therefore, our two hostile neighbors, China and Pakistan, they would attempt to embarrass India, especially in 2023. Therefore, whether it is on China border or whether it is on the western border, especially with J&K and Punjab, we should be expecting more of such actions. And therefore, the caution required is that the Indian armed forces, all the security forces, including police, and all our intelligence agencies, especially for this year, need to be totally on their toes, and they need to be coordinating everything well, because intelligence is the most important aspect. Now, coming on to this fact, you have stated that the infiltration, yes, in the last few years have gone down very, very in large numbers. So therefore, it's a great achievement of the Indian armed forces and Indian agencies. They have been coordinating very well. So the question is, why now? Obviously, there are a number of factors, G20 SCO summit and 2023, both the neighbors. In fact, I also visualize that the northern neighbors will also start resorting to something like what there is in Doklam or Tawang or Galwan. Probably that we should be expecting. So this year is going to be quite critical for our country. Now, coming on to what India needs to do, I think all the three general officers have brought it out very, very aptly clear that we need to be more stern with Pakistan and China. Therefore, firstly, intelligence and coordination with the military, that has to be of the best order, or we have to be totally alert. But what can we do across? I think I would highlight that Pakistan is somehow totally obsessed with this Kashmir issue, and this now needs to be eradicated from their mind. India is a nation where today we know that the erstwhile borders between then India and Afghanistan, way back before 1893, was the Indus River. And therefore, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan is the major issue which today Durand Line has not been ever recognized by the Taliban then and Taliban today. So we need to hit the enemy in his place also. They are striking us in Kashmir, in Punjab. Why can't we start hitting them in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan in every possible manner? We can use indirect resources and hit them so hard that let us do exactly same thing what they're doing here. Let us burn them. Let us impose heavy casualties on the Pakistan armed forces operating in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. So this could be one of our strategies. And I think now coming on to the ambush as such, the ambush point, whatever it appears, is a deliberate, well-planned ambush. Obviously, if you see the pictures, it is very clearly that it is on a road bend, which is an ideal site for an ambush. So therefore, a well-planned, well-conceived operation. They have taken the benefit of the weather conditions, everything. It's been well planned and executed. So again, it goes down to that intelligence agencies, the armed forces on ground, we need to be on high alert at all times, and especially in 2023, both on the northern border and on the western border.
Well, in fact, Major General Sanjay Beston, thank you very much for putting this into perspective. Gentlemen, I'll just request you to stay on with us. We'll slip into a short break, and on the other side, we'll continue getting you the latest updates. But before that, Major General Sanjay Beston, you made a point as far as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is concerned, as well as Balochistan. On that, I would essentially say that from the internal security point of view, I don't think so we need to do much, because it's already exploding situation in Balochistan. And the Pakistani army, the Pakistanis have already been exposed when it comes to the extrajudicial killings that have taken place in Balochistan. And the fact of the matter is that brothers and sisters in Balochistan have already expressed the fact that when it comes to India, the position that we have essentially taken, they stand by us. So that on that front, I think so we are well taken care of. We'll slip into a short break. On the other side, we'll continue with the latest developments that are taking place. The big news now coming in from Poonch, the terrorist attack, which has now been confirmed by the Indian Army.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents Republic Summit, Time of Transformation. Co-powered by Raven Group, manufacturers of electric cables and solar systems. Bharosa rakho, surakshit raho. Mine Super App and beyond. Knowledge partner Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Education for Life, Education for Living. Infrastructure partner Rungta Steel TMT Bar, Ekdam Solid. MSME partner Ugrow Capital.
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join all of us at Republic TV as we bring to you the Republic Summit this year on the theme of a time of transformation. See you there.
इस देश में बहुत समय के बाद एक ऐसी सरकार आई है जो सरकार टिकाने के लिए नहीं चल रही, देश को सुधारने के लिए सरकार चल रही है।
ये पहला एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ है जहां पे आप इस पर विस्तृत तौर से इन डिटेल आप बात करेंगे, तो लेट अस एड्रेस ऑल इश्यूज।
Do you think that at every point any agency, whether it's the ED, the CBI, the ACB, questions need to be raised on them?
I personally think that in a democratic country, Parliament must have full control of the agencies as well. Why do we make them into what is called a holy cow, that nobody can touch them? They must be made answerable. You may not interfere in a specific investigation, but at the end of the day, they must be made accountable to Parliament.
Dragging back economic fugitives, fantastic. But a crackdown on corruption alone is not enough to steer the economy.
That is where the reforms are not just to remove those who are with several cases of corruption and disproportionate assets. This will ensure that at a local level, no officer can go about saying, hey, I've come to inspect you, without the system approving it.
इक्कीसवीं सदी में भारत के सपनों और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने से कोई भी बाधा अब हमें रोक नहीं सकती, और यही समय है हम विजय की ओर बढ़ चले।
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join.
Trending burning question, powered by General Air Conditioners.
Getting on some more breaking news right now. My colleague Gursubran getting us the latest from top sources with regards to the bullet that was essentially fired. Details that we're getting right now: 7.62 mm steel core bullets were actually fired by the terrorists. Important to point out here is these bullets that you would see right now on your screens have the capacity to basically pierce through bulletproof jackets. The bigger question is the fact that this can only perhaps be supplied by an army. We have seen it in the past how exactly Pakistani army, the ISI, has basically equipped the terrorists through a part of that launch pad, crossing over to India, then opening, carrying out terrorist attacks. We've seen the clear Pakistani imprint. On this also, it's not too far away before we get more details in terms of who exactly is behind it. Few groups, it seems, have already claimed responsibility. Let me quickly go across to my colleague Gursubran for the latest, but we'll slip into a short break and then bring in my colleague Gursubran for the latest as to what does this essentially mean. Top sources now confirming that this was a steel core bullet that was actually used.
Trending burning question, powered
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents Republic Summit, Time of Transformation. Co-powered by Raven Group, manufacturers of electric cables and solar systems. Bharosa Rakho, Surakshit Raho. Mine Super App and beyond. Knowledge partner, Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, Education for Life, Education for Living. Infrastructure partner, Rungta Steel TMT Bar, Ekdam Solid. MSME partner, Ugrow Capital.
Amity faculty have filed over 1800 patents. Yet another reason why Amity has been ranked among the top for innovation achievements.
इस देश में बहुत समय के बाद एक ऐसी सरकार आई है जो सरकार टिकाने के लिए नहीं चल रही, देश को सुधारने के लिए सरकार चल रही है।
ये पहला एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ है जहां पे आप इस पर विस्तृत तौर से इन डिटेल आप बात करेंगे, तो लेट अस एड्रेस ऑल इश्यूज।
Do you think that at every point any agency, whether it's the ED, the CBI, the ACB, questions need to be raised on them?
I personally think that in a democratic country, Parliament must have full control of the agencies as well. Why do we make them into what is called holy cow, that nobody can touch them? They must be made answerable. You may not interfere in a specific investigation, but at the end of the day, they must be made accountable to Parliament.
Dragging back economic fugitives, fantastic. But a crackdown on corruption alone is not enough to steer the economy.
That is where the reforms are not just to remove those who are with several cases of corruption and disproportionate assets. This will ensure that at a local level, no officer can go about saying, hey, I've come to inspect you, without the system approving it.
इक्कीसवीं सदी में भारत के सपनों और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने से कोई भी बाधा अब हमें रोक नहीं सकती और यही समय है हम विजय की ओर बढ़ चले।
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join all of us at Republic TV as we bring to you the Republic Summit this year on the theme of a time of transformation. See you there.
इस देश में बहुत समय के बाद एक ऐसी सरकार आई है जो सरकार टिकाने के लिए नहीं चल रही, देश को सुधारने के लिए सरकार चल रही है।
ये पहला एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ है जहां पे आप इस पर विस्तृत तौर से इन डिटेल आप बात करेंगे, तो लेट अस एड्रेस ऑल इश्यूज।
Do you think that at every point any agency, whether it's the ED, the CBI, the ACB, questions need to be raised on them?
I personally think that in a democratic country, Parliament must have full control of the agencies as well. Why do we make them into what is called a holy cow, that nobody can touch them? They must be made answerable. You may not interfere in a specific...
Trending burning question, powered by General Air Conditioners.
During the investigation, the senior officials, those who are privy to the development, have told the public that it was a pre-planned attack, that a proper ambush was laid by the terrorists to attack the convoy of the Indian Army. But being a dry day, there was no convoy of the Indian Army, and then they attacked the vehicle that was coming. The steel bullets were used by the terrorists to fire at the troops of the Indian Army, in which 5 of Johans have lost their life and 1 is critically injured. Though there was a retaliation by the Indian Army, but the terrorists have come with a foolproof plan, and that's why they managed to escape to the other side of the dense forested area, where the search operations have been launched, and the 2 senior IPS officers from Jammu have been rushed to the attack site by the top officials of the J&K administration. We'll be continuing with this rolling coverage right after this short break.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents Republic Summit, Time of Transformation. Co-powered by Raven Group, manufacturers of electric cables and solar systems. Bharosa rakho, surakshit raho. Mine Super App and beyond. Knowledge partner, Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, Education for Life, Education for Living. Infrastructure partner, Rungta Steel TMT Bar, Ekdam Solid. MSME partner, You Grow Capital.
Do you think that at every point any agency, whether it's the ED, the CBI, the ACB, questions need to be raised on them?
I personally think that in a democratic country, Parliament must have full control of the agencies as well. Why do we make them into what is called a holy cow, that nobody can touch them? They must be made answerable. You may not interfere in a specific investigation, but at the end of the day, they must be made accountable to Parliament.
Dragging back economic fugitives, fantastic. But a crackdown on corruption alone is not enough to steer the economy.
That is where the reforms are not just to remove those who are with several cases of corruption and disproportionate assets. This will ensure that at a local level, no officer can go about saying, hey, I've come to inspect you, without the system approving it.
21वीं सदी में भारत के सपनों और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने से कोई भी बाधा अब हमें रोक नहीं सकती। और यही समय है हम विजय की ओर बढ़ चले।
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join all of us at Republic TV as we bring to you the Republic Summit this year on the theme of a time of transformation. See you there.
इस देश में बहुत समय के बाद एक ऐसी सरकार आई है जो सरकार टिकाने के लिए नहीं चल रही, देश को सुधारने के लिए सरकार चल रही है।
ये पहला एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ है जहां पे आप इस पर विस्तृत तौर से इन डिटेल आप बात करेंगे, तो लेट अस एड्रेस ऑल इश्यूज।
Do you think that at every point any agency, whether it's the ED, the CBI, the ACB, questions need to be raised on them?
I personally think that in a democratic country, Parliament must have full control of the agencies as well. Why do we make them into what is called a holy cow, that nobody can touch them? They must be made answerable. You may not interfere in a specific investigation, but at the end of the day, they must be made accountable to Parliament.
Dragging back economic fugitives, fantastic. But a crackdown on corruption alone is not enough to.
21वीं सदी में भारत के सपनों और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने से कोई भी बाधा अब हमें रोक नहीं सकती, और यही समय है हम विजय की ओर बढ़ चले।
Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9. Presented by Amity University. Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, O General and Star Health Insurance. Co-powered by Havells Fans and IOCL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm starting with the breaking news development today. We've been tracking this, and I will start by reading the Army statement which came in about 6:45, 2 hours and 15 minutes back, on the incident which has happened in the Rajouri sector. And the Army has confirmed that around 3 o'clock, an Army vehicle which was moving between Bhimbar Gali and Poonch in the Rajouri sector was fired upon by unidentified terrorists. These are the visuals immediately after that. And there was, we are told, a lot of heavy rain in the area. There was low visibility. And there were, as per our information, repeated grenade attacks by the terrorists, and viewers, 5 personnel of the Rashtriya Rifles unit, which is deployed there for counter-terror operations, have lost their lives in the incident. 1 other soldier seriously injured was evacuated to the army hospital in Rajouri and is under treatment. We are getting more information now. The information we have from intel sources is that the terrorists had a plan to carry out the attack on the army convoy, but there was no traffic there, due to which they missed the larger target. And the timing of this attack is similar to the movement of the army convoy. This was retaliated upon, but despite that, viewers, as you can see these visuals, as you can see there in the visuals, it's still raining there, and there is a thick forest area just around that, and this happens around a turn, an intersection on the road. And the visuals also seem to suggest, if you look at them closely, that the truck was attacked from close proximity. So it was obviously a well-planned ambush, and they knew that the route is used by army vehicles. We also got earlier visuals when the army vehicle was engulfed in flames by the time, and those pictures also are there on your screen now, viewers. The whole vehicle was engulfed in flames, and visibility was low in this area. Viewers, also we are told that this is absolutely primary information is use of grenades in the area. The defense minister was briefed by the army chief, and this a similar attack led to operation in 2021, viewers. You would remember when 9 soldiers were killed in 2 separate attacks. A search operation was conducted for over 20 days. That's the latest I have. Gursimran has more. Gursimran, what more do you have as of now? Can you tell us more about the precise location where this has happened, and how large was the convoy? How is it that one particular vehicle was targeted? Was there no security around the vehicle or any other advanced party around the convoy?
See, Arnab, what has happened? This was a pre-planned attack by the terrorists. This was an ambush that they have led for the convoy. But being a dry day, there was no convoy of the Indian Army, and only one vehicle was on that very route. This route is around 2 kilometers from the Bhimbergali Brigade of the Indian Army. And when this vehicle reached that, the terrorists might have seen this as an opportunity to target the vehicle. And then all of a sudden, they opened fire at the vehicle. The Jawan of the Indian Army, the Rashtriya Rifles, those who was at the co-driver side, he retaliated to the terrorist fire. But the terrorists, we are told, were multiple in numbers, and we have got access to some of the images that clearly shows that the vehicle of the Indian Army was attacked from the multiple sides. So there is a high possibility that the number of the terrorists is 3 to 4 that have attacked the convoy from both the sides, because there are bullet marks on the rear tire of the vehicle, on the front windshield, even inside the diesel tank. That means on the left side, on the right side, and even in the front, there are bullet marks that clearly shows that the terrorists have attacked this vehicle from all sides, and then they lobbed grenade at this convoy, at this vehicle of the Indian Army, in which 6 Jawans of the Rashtriya Rifles were traveling in. And the
visuals seem to indicate here.
But the terrorists taking the advantage.
Gursimran, the visuals seem to indicate that this truck was attacked from close proximity, General Bakshi. So it's a well-planned ambush. This is not like they've taken advantage of the vegetation and the weather at the last minute. This route is used very often. You've served in that sector, General Bakshi. When you see these visuals, the question I didn't get an answer from is, when an army vehicle with personnel from Rashtriya Rifles moves, they're obviously a potential target. What would be the security SOP which should have been followed, if any, during such movement?
Arnab, you are absolutely right. I was General Officer commanding Romeo Force, looking after the districts of Rajouri and Poonch. I would just like